In my last video I put together a 3S 2P SPIM 08HP battery in order to power my kWeld spot welder. It seemed to work pretty well, except it was calibrating the kWeld about over 1000 amps, and I think I just need a little bit more. It's recommended to keep the battery as close to the kWeld as you can, but there's a distance trade-off in order to keep the wire long enough on longer battery packs. So I plan on my wires measuring about 1.5 meters, which is calculated by adding all the wire lengths together. Here is a graph from the KeenLab website that shows the max allowable current based on wire lengths. At 1.5 meters, it'll max the welder out at just below 1600 amps. My needs are just welding a 0.15 nickel strip on 18650s, so if I can get over 1200 amps, that'll suit my needs just fine. Well, hopefully. Here I have 16 Headway 38120 cells that I'll be building a 4S4P battery with. These are life PO4 cells, so the voltage range is a bit different than those of the SPIM 08HPs. And those are lithium ion cells. Life PO4 voltage ranges are from 2.5 to 3.65. I got these batteries from Battery Hookup, so they're second hand, but I think they're going to work just fine. I charged them up with my iCharger X8 to 3.65. They took a good charge, but when I let them sit overnight, they settled down to 3.35 to 3.4. It's my understanding that's only about a 10% loss, and there isn't much capacity between 3.4 and 3.6, so that should be pretty good. These here are all measuring about 3.35 volts, so they'll be good to go to put these in parallel in series. I got these cell holders from Keith at 18650 Shrink and Cell Holders. He always has great product. I also got the bus bars for the headways from him too. Although it was overkill to use, I went to Repacker off the Second Life storage site and put my cell capacities in. It makes for quick and easy small builds like this one. The results of that, they came out to about 24 amp hours before in parallel. And those weren't tested at the full voltage ranges of the headways. So I'll put these here in groups of 4 so I can parallel and then series them. And as you can see here, I alternate the positive and negative for each of the series, making sure they're all on the right side. These cells are 25C as well and push out about 200 amps, so one mistake and it could be muy caliente. So I put on the other cell holder, push them down nice and tight. So here's those bus bars I got from Keith. I like to keep these things a little bit far away from the battery just in case. Don't want any accidents. I'll just add these here on the top of the negative side. I like to use a screwdriver that has a magnet on it for this, make it a little bit safer. I tend to have butterfingers, so the safer I can make it, the better. I'll just screw the rest of these in and we can move on to the other side for parallel. Once I have all 4 of these cells paralleled up, then I'm going to make a series connection over to the next side. That's when you have to pay attention a little more. I'll just add one of these bus bars over for the series connection and then carefully tighten the bolt down. And then I put on the other bus bar and just repeat that part of the process. So what we have here so far is the negative going up to the positive, and the positive seriesing over to the negative side of the next group. And then we'll work on the other side to get the positive connected in the second group. I like to put a little Kapton tape over the bus bars just to make it a little bit safer. Because just one wrong move and... Okay, now I put the bus in parallel here on the positive side. We'll get it all screwed down too. And then the same thing here too. I'm going to put the bus bars together for the series connection, crossing from one cell to the others. Now we have the third series connection, and we're going to move it on over to the other side to start up the fourth. Now we'll just finish up with the positive side and check the voltage. Now it's time for some balance leads. One of the things I've always wanted to try is this expandable braided sleevings. I got this one here on Amazon, and I picked up a 1/2 inch one and a 1/4 inch one. Then I will put one on each of the positive sides all the way up to the main positive. And then I'll just clean up some of these wires with Kapton tape. Another thing I picked up from Amazon was this crimper. This thing works great. So I soldered up a XT90, and I used that same braided sleeve. This one was the 1/2 inch one, and then I slid it over some 8-gauge wire. I didn't have enough of the black wire, so I just used 2 of the red. I'll just mark it off on the end with some tape or something just to identify that that's the negative side. I'll just remove some of this Kapton tape to get a good connection, and I'll start over here on the positive side. And then on over to the negative side. I'll get this one clamped down real good. And of course more Kapton tape. And there we go. Okay, now for the shrink wrap. My original plan was to make this more of a square battery than a rectangle one. So the shrink wrap I picked up is just a little bit too big. Hey, let's just try to see if it'll fit anyway. I'll just go ahead and leave it like this for a bit until I can get some more shrink wrap. And now for the test. Go ahead and get this kWeld hooked up and set it to the calibration settings. So the open test is okay. And finally for the short circuit test. Okay, there we go, 1275 amps. That should do it. Well, I appreciate everybody watching, so if you like what I'm doing, give me a like, maybe even subscribe. Alright, we'll see you on the next one.